Right now on Upfront.
Inauguration Day.
We are 100% confident in the plan for this inauguration.
Just hours until President-elect Donald Trump takes the oath. Festivities well underway in Washington this weekend. A massive security presence. President Biden's farewell.
Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence.
Trump's nominees on Capitol Hill.
I know you guys all want to object. The greatest state in the country, Wisconsin.
Now, all the attention on the new administration. Our guest this Sunday, Republican Party of Wisconsin Chairman Brian Schimming from Washington, and Democratic Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
Then, draft time. What do your next 100 days look like?
Busy, very busy.
Preparations intensifying in Green Bay this weekend. Less than 100 days until the city hosts the NFL Draft, a major security operation, the largest the city has ever seen. Green Bay Police Captain Ben Allen taking us inside the major state and federal response.
And data download.
It's almost beyond unimaginable.
A new massive data center proposed near Port Washington. The potential companies, the impact, and the big questions. We'll get to it all with Port Washington Mayor Ted Neitzke just moments away.
This is Upfront with Jaron Jordan and political director Matt Smith.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Just hours until Inauguration Day in Washington. A major security perimeter in place around Capitol Hill. President-elect Donald Trump's swearing-in ceremony tomorrow moving inside to the Capitol Rotunda because of the extreme cold in the nation's capital.
Festivities well underway this weekend, and tonight, President-elect Trump delivering remarks at a victory rally. We begin in our nation's capital today, where Republican Party of Wisconsin Chairman Brian Schimming has made his way ahead of the inauguration. Brian, welcome back. Good to see you.
Great to be here.
Kind of set the stage for us, what it looks and feels like in D.C. specifically. What is the security like at this moment ahead of the inauguration?
Pretty intense, fairly intense security, and of course traffic issues all over the city. So it's going to be a pretty intense security situation here in Washington. But we have tens of thousands of Republicans here in a pretty good mood and about winning the election. So I think they're okay with putting up with a little traffic.
What's the Wisconsin influence in D.C. this inaugural weekend? Do you or other Wisconsin Republicans have a role in the events?
Yeah, we have some. We've had some private events here over the weekend, and then we have our own events going on the Wisconsin side, as many other states do as well. Speaking of some of those, and then of course the inaugural on Monday at the Capitol. So and then inaugural balls that night. So there's pretty good Wisconsin contingent out here, and we're looking forward to being part of this. Wisconsin is only Republicans have only won Wisconsin twice for a Republican presidential candidate in the last 40 years. So we're excited to be in Washington for the right reason.
Brian, we're seeing some Democrats, including Nancy Pelosi from Wisconsin, Gwen Moore, Mark Pocan, all saying they're not going to attend the inauguration on Monday. Congresswoman Moore, in a statement, said, referring to Trump, through his efforts to overturn the 2020 election, President-elect Trump has shown no respect for our democracy or the rule of law. And that's the reason she's going to be here in Wisconsin. I'm curious your response to that.
Well, look, personally, if members of the delegation make their own decision not to show up, I think that looks, worse for them than it does for us. And I will say this: I don't know how many Republicans at this event will be missing Nancy Pelosi's. I will be, upset about Nancy Pelosi's absence, but I'm not surprised about it at all. The Republicans swept not only the White House, but picked up the House kept the House and picked up the Senate as well. So Nancy Pelosi's in a lot worse mood than we are this week.
Should Donald Trump have attended Biden's inauguration in 2021?
Yeah, not for me to decide, except for him to decide. But the Democrats were all claiming how upset they were about that. And now you've got several of them doing the same to him. So I don't know if he should have or not. I will say this. The Democrats who are boycotting Donald Trump tonight, frankly, the attitude that they've taken on Donald Trump, not just with this inauguration for a few of them, but during this whole election campaign is why they lost the election. They can't seem to figure out why they lost this election. And their obsessive focus on Donald Trump and attacking him, frankly, lost them the White House, lost them the House, lost them the Senate.
Before you go, Brian, you're attending RNC meetings this weekend in Washington. Your counterpart on the Democratic side, Ben Wickler, is in a fierce fight to be the next DNC chair. I'm curious, should he lead Democrats nationally moving forward as we already look ahead to the midterms?
Well, as unbelievable as it may seem, he's not called for my endorsement. But I will, Ben is obviously a talented guy. And but the Democrats just came off a bad year. I don't think he has a good year to point to in this past election year for whatever success they've had in the past. Look, the National Democratic Party, whether it's Ben Wickler or anyone else, has huge problems right now. A year ago, they were talking about all this Republican infighting and all that. We just elected a new president of the United States, and the Democrats are in disarray. So whoever gets that job has their hands full.
Republican Party of Wisconsin Chairman Brian Shiming from Washington. Brian, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will not attend Trump's inauguration tomorrow. A spokesperson didn't disclose why. She will join other Democrats who are not attending, including Wisconsin's Democratic Representatives Gwen Moore and Mark Pocan. Senator Tammy Baldwin says she will be in attendance.
And with that, let's bring in Congresswoman Gwen Moore, who joins us now. Congresswoman, welcome back to Up Front.
Hey, thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. So you have announced that you're going to be here in Milwaukee and not at the inauguration tomorrow. Why?
It was a process, my deciding not to go. I did go to the first Trump inauguration. It's bitterly cold out there, but I had thought that I would go. And when I came to realize that the inauguration day was going to fall on MLK Day, something that hasn't done since Bill Clinton was inaugurated, my constituents really, it was a drumbeat of folks begging me to come and go to the events I go to every single year since there's never any conflict. And I still intended to just go to the inauguration. And I think, Trump whining over the flag flying at half-staff was just the final straw for me.
If inauguration did not fall on MLK Day, would you have attended?
There would have been a lot. Like I said, I think the final straw for me was his whining about Jimmy Carter, about the flag being flown at half-staff to honor the 39th president. I think that it's been very hard to respect Donald Trump.
Should this be characterized as a protest among Democrats who are not showing up on Monday?
People have different reasons for doing it. You got somebody like Amy Klobuchar, for example, who's definitely going to show up because she's in charge of the inaugural ceremonies. Yeah. I have no problem with my good friend and colleague, our United States Senator Tammy Baldwin, for showing up.
Republicans have a slim majority in the new Congress. We were just mentioning that. What do you think is the role then of Democrats? Is it just to oppose what Republicans want, what the Trump agenda wants?
We have, in case no one has noticed, we have been the governing body. Even in the 118th Congress, last Congress, Hakeem Jeffries and the Democratic caucuses bailed them out. And I think that we are reconsidering doing that. We would love to be bipartisan. Some of the things that I'm most proud of, I've done in a bipartisan way at the state legislature as well as in Congress. But we're just not going to put up with some of the foolishness and craziness that they're talking about.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, okay, they want to cut $2.5 trillion out of the budget. The Doge, Mr. Ramaswamy and Elon Musk. We're hearing that they just want to take a sledgehammer and a sword to things that Americans really depend on.
Democrats, meantime, are rebuilding after the November elections, and some of that is playing out in the race for the new DNC chair. You've endorsed Ben Wickler, the state party chairman of Wisconsin. You were just at a forum this past week among all the candidates. Is this a fierce battle among the top two contenders, Ken Martin from Minnesota and Ben Wickler from Wisconsin? It
is a very fierce battle. It's not unfriendly, I don't think. They know each other, so it's not real nasty, but there's a really big difference between the two of them from my perspective. Ben Wickler has raised more money than any other party chair, even though Ken Martin has been the chair of the party chairs. Ben Wickler has exceeded him in raising money. Ben Wickler has a model in Wisconsin that people are following.
To everything you just said, can Wisconsin Democrats afford to lose Ben Wickler ahead of the state Supreme Court race in April?
You know, I feel very selfish about it, but I did ask Ben that question. You know, are you going to stick around and make sure that we get, you know, Justice Crawford elected? And he is certainly not going to drop the ball on that at all.
Congresswoman Gwen Moore, thank you so much for being here. It's always great to have you.
It's good to be home and good to be with you all.
Up next, draft day now less than 100 days out. Green Bay preparing to host the NFL draft in April. The major security operation now underway. We're inside the local, state, and federal preparations next.